Change has been one of those things in my life where I feel like no matter how often I find myself becoming prepared to take it on, I always feel like there's always something else. Frankly, I feel like my emotions have certainly been twisted and turned, welcomed, appreciated, and at times just very, very distraught and flexed and just, I've been everywhere. Personally, I don't necessarily know when change is ever going to stop because I feel like change has to happen in order for us to progress. And progression doesn't happen because we find ourselves stuck in our comfort zones. Far rather, oftentimes I feel as though the changes that we make in our lives come because we exceed that comfort zone. We get out of that comfort zone. We are called to adventure, as many English majors might know as, well, what is it? That one thing that you read in English 101. The hero's journey, that's what it is in the hero's journey. Take, for example, just this past summer, I was finishing up my senior year of college up in Brigham Young University of Idaho. That's where I was up in Idaho for 4 years, and I loved my experiences up there. But my senior year in particularly was rather tricky because here I was about to graduate, and I wasn't quite so sure what the plan was. But I knew that I wanted to do something with HR, and I knew that I wanted to get into a graduate program, and I knew very well that I just wanted to progress in that direction. But come the summertime where I only had one more semester left before I graduated, and here I was freaking out. And I was freaking out primarily because I wasn't so sure what was going to happen next. I still hadn't taken the GRE, and I still wasn't quite so sure who I was going to find myself being with, friends, associates, my social circle, right? Considering the fact that we were currently in a pandemic. So by and by, I would find myself taking a little walk up to what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints calls the temple. And the Rexburg, Idaho temple was my favorite spot to be at for 4 years. Everything about it I loved, and I would love meeting the people that were up there. Quite often, that's also how I made a lot of my friends too. But I would find myself making this mile-long trek from where I lived up to the top of the hill where the temple was. And I would find myself just out there contemplating and thinking, and it was what I needed personally for me to wrap my mind around the fact that change is coming. Perhaps in our modern day society, we find ourselves wanting to distract ourselves from actually taking the time to think, to stop, to understand and to realize that something is happening. And maybe we distract ourselves by going on our Facebooks, going on our YouTubes, going on some sort of distraction spree. And it can seem daunting for the fact that if we aren't prepared for it, we're probably going to find ourselves thinking that this is going to do more harm than good. But it was in that time that I would find myself just by myself up at the temple grounds, literally just contemplating, and me being religious, talking to my Heavenly Father. But whether or not we are talking with someone, I think it is so important for us to contemplate why we are afraid. Why we find ourselves thinking that this change is unwelcomed. For me personally, it was the fact that I, being the social butterfly that I am, wasn't quite so sure what was going to happen to my social life. I wasn't so sure if I was still going to have my family, my friends, or those acquaintances that I've made along the way. I thrive off of having those social interactions with people, and wherever I was going next, I didn't know if I was going to still have that ability, that circumstances. Being scared is perfectly fine. Being scared means that you have a heart rate. It means that your heart is beating. It means that your mind is running. It means that you have something in you still to lose. And I think when you have something to lose, it only shows you that you care about that one thing. Until I became malleable in my willingness to budge and to think of ways to accept the fact that I might just be leaving this place that I've been rooted into for 4 years, college, right? And now being uprooted elsewhere, and my whole world is about to change, until I became malleable enough to realize that that was potentially the reality of my life now, I was going to be scared. And I don't know about you all, but I really, really don't like being scared. It's just, it hinders us. It makes us hesitate. It paralyzes us from moving, and that's exactly what I was feeling way back when. Not that long ago, technically. So, change is something that happens, and change isn't going away. Change is even happening for me now. Change comes. And I think because we have all this change, ultimately, here's where my conclusion goes into, right? Ultimately, I've come to the conclusion that no matter how many changes I find myself going through, I have autonomy. I have agency. I have the opportunity to do something because it's in my power. I may not be able to change the circumstances of whatever that may be, right? But what I can do is prepare something today that will allow me to face tomorrow a little better. And oftentimes, for me, that means that I take away my distractions momentarily, my phone, my listening to music, and I'm an audiophile, I love music, right? And just step away and just contemplate the reality, where I want to be, and see what I can do to close that gap. Cognitive dissonance is what it's called. Maybe a psychology major, right? So, and that's actually what I graduated in. So, moral of this story. Moral of this story is that change is going to happen no matter what. I think emotions are going to be triggered regardless, and I think that is perfectly fine. Whether they are positive or negative, they're human. And I think the more that we try to suppress them, the more that we try to null ourselves from feeling something. And when we null ourselves from feeling something, I genuinely do believe that we're going to restrict our source of inspiration, our source of revelation, to allow us to know how to better proceed in the directions that we ought to go. But Robert, does that mean that you're supposed to just feel hurt and scared and worried all the time? No. The reason that I found myself going up to the temple, up on the top of the hill of BYU-Idaho, was because there were wonderful people that I would find myself able to talk with. Some of them were strangers, most of them were strangers, I should say. But quite often I would find myself meeting friends as well. If not, those strangers would also become my friends, and I would talk with them. I would hear them out, and they would share with me their stories, the reason that they're up there, and what they're contemplating, what they're feeling. And I loved it. I think if you want to go very far in life, you do it with people. I ultimately have nothing more to let you all know regarding the topic of change, but I just wanted to tell you all how much I am grateful for the opportunity that I have to share with you all something that is important to me. I may not necessarily know what to share every single week or every bi-weekly, however often I find myself uploading, but what I do know is that life happens, and life will always give me a new topic, similarly to you all. And I hope that by me sharing a little bit of my life, wherever I may be, I mean, for crying out loud, today I'm just here in my kitchen. Tomorrow, or the next time that I record, more than likely I'll be somewhere else. But I hope that by sharing some of this with you all, that you'll find inspiration, you'll find some guidance, you'll find something that kind of shows you that people are human. Contrary to popular belief, we all have hearts, we all have a mind, we all have emotions, we all feel things, and we all should share them. Because the more that we hear and the more that we learn from others, the more that we'll know how to better proceed in the paths that we should go, is what I personally think. So, I'm excited because I just recorded my 3rd episode, and I now have something to record, or to edit, in Final Cut Pro. Yeah, that thing was expensive. So, anyways, friends, that's all I got for y'all, and I am so elated, frankly, that I have something to show y'all. And you are all amazing. You are all wonderful. Frankly, I recognize that sometimes life may not be exactly what we want it to be, but that doesn't mean that we can't make it into something that we can. And I think my laundry's done. I don't know if y'all can hear that little jingle. But you keep going. Keep going, take it day by day. Literally, that's all I've been able to do as of right now until I figure out the long-term plan. But I think taking it day by day is going to be our best friend and our best bet into have made a full, rich, and meaningful life. Y'all are so wonderful, so great, and I cannot wait to hear from you all, whether down in the comments, little messages, whatever the case may be. Thanks so much for watching. And I will see you all. Is it this one? Is it this one? I don't know. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.